Very good. It's nice to have lots of folks in the audience on a fine May day. Brad, do we have a modification or two?
Well, I'd like to propose two. One, I'd like to add a supplemental to the personnel report, and I'll find it here eventually.
Is it?
I didn't see
Yeah,
the
is it in
supplemental.
the Dropbox? Is it?
It's the three.
Oh, I saw that.
Okay, all
It's in
right.
the Dropbox.
It's in Dropbox. It wasn't on here. I can't remember what. Where's the personnel report? I'm sorry.
Item C.
C what? C what number?
3C.
C.
3C.
Yes, 3C. So add a supplemental to 3C. And then, on the assumption that most of the folks here are here for item Roman 5C, I'm going to suggest we move that up front and actually put it ahead of receiving and hearing and delegations and dispose of that first.
So it'll be item 1C.
1C.
Any objections?
That's okay.
No.
No. Seth says no. Therefore, we'll go ahead and do that right now.
All right, I'd like to move, I gotta get down to where it was here. I'd like to move the resolution to approve increase the BJM enrichment program as it's printed in your agenda.
I'll second.
Second by Sean. Sean, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I want to speak briefly. It's always interesting when you serve on the board and you serve in multiple networks and get multiple various emails from various folks, right? So some of those emails you'll get 6 times, some of those you'll get 3 times. And within that, there's also a lot of information that takes place. And sometimes it's hard to filter what is true and what is not true. So I'm going to be abstaining from the A+ votes for one key reason that my father-in-law, Rick Gallucci, my family member, is an employee at A+. But as folks know, not only do I support the program personally, but professionally as well, and I watched it do amazing things for my 2 nieces. So to the A+, the folks in the room, first and foremost, there absolutely is funding in the budget for next year. It's at the same rate as currently. I'm sure that may be a conversation, along with some conversations about oversights, accountability, etc. And as you'll see this year, the board is committed to the program for this year as well. And so for those folks that should have never been, that wasn't a concern from the board. I'm not sure how that gets transpired. But we support the program. We're looking forward to what takes place next year, particularly with some changes that are taking place. And we're very much looking forward to watching you all good folks do amazing things with our young folks. And so keep up the good work and looking forward to seeing you as the summer proceeds.
Anyone else? Questions regarding this item?
I had a pretty good conversation in the Finance Committee about it.
Any details you want to share with the group from Finance?
Sean just covered it.
Yeah,
there we go.
Accountability.
Yeah, we had a bunch of conversations. I know there's a parent group trying to do some work as well. I know there's been some significant shifts in needs, as tends to happen in the BJM population throughout the years. I know there's been some significant cuts from the board over the past couple of years from when the program started 10 years ago. I think we're pledging ourselves to have ongoing conversations over the summer and see where it leads us. And so it was a good conversation at Finance Committee. It was a long conversation at Finance Committee. We expect further dialogue, and we're looking forward to moving forward.
Very good. Without any further questions, comments, all in favor? That's everyone but Sean. Those an abstention would be Sean.
Eldred's absent.
Oh, sorry, Eldred. That's right. Eldred was here, but then had
And we did that first, not to steal anyone's thunder. But there's a number of people who are signed up to speak, and so if your goal is to have an impassioned plea to get us to make our votes, we wanted to make sure that you knew you already had our votes going up front. So for those folks who still want to speak to the board and let us know about how wonderful the program is, by all means, please do so. But we wanted to let people rest assured, and for those folks who want to get out on a beautiful Tuesday, 80-degree weather evening in Ithaca, you only get one of those a year, so you might as well grab it. That was part of the idea as well. So.
exactly. Thanks, Sean. And we will go to public and staff, and I will go to Well, I will go to Terry Burns first. Terry,
Right there.
Thank you. I'm the president of the Ithaca Public Education Initiative, as all of you know. And I see later on the agenda that you'll be appropriating $89,850, which I want you to know is generous gifts from our community to support a new initiative that you are doing, and we are really thrilled to be able to participate in that. It's a great thing to try to enhance the teaching and learning in our classrooms by using mobile devices. I'm trying to learn how to do it. We've just been texting, so I've got one, but it's very important for our young people to be able to do this. And this is a pilot program for 10 classrooms to see how it works. There's lots of unknowns still, but it's definitely something that's got to happen. I want to especially thank Keonix, who was a very big donor to this program and helped us really get it off the ground. And then there are several other individuals who donated to this program and other corporate businesses, Schraube Walker, Vector Magnetics, Databound Solutions, Tompkins Trust Company, Communique Design and Marketing, DeMarco Abriusi and Pascarella, Cat's Pajamas, Cotton Patch Quilt, and Singlebrook Technologies. So there are lots of people in the community that support what you all do, and go for it. Thank you.
No, thank you, Terry. I think we're going to speak to that in the consideration of counts and highlight that, but I appreciate you listing all the donors that make what IPI does possible. And Dr. Brown, I think what IPE does for this district is really hard to verbalize, and how much we appreciate what IPI does.
I keep saying, they keep bringing me checks and solutions to innovation issues. I mean, we want to innovate, and they keep coming to me and wanting to partner with doing that. So again, thank you. We'll talk more later.
Very good. And Pat?
Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. On May 15th, 2012, the Ithaca City School District was notified that the Charter School Institute has received a charter revision request from New Roots Charter School. And the description of the proposed action is as follows. New Roots Charter School desires to reduce its projected enrollment from 225 students for the remainder of its current charter term, which is for 2 years. So ICSD now has an obligation pursuant to New York State Commissioner's Regulation, Section 119.4, to hold a public hearing when notification of charter application within the district. This requirement is meant to ensure solicitation of community comments regarding such an application. This hearing is going to be held, has been scheduled by the district in the Black Box Theater at Ithaca High School from 6 to 6:30 on June 6th.
Longer than that.
It'll go.
Oh, it'll go longer than that. Thank you. 6 to 6:30 actually is the New Roots presentation. Then the community feedback begins at 6:30. Information gleaned from the meeting will then go to CSI. It's interesting, the coincidence of the timing of this. The Charter School Institute received my formal complaint on May 14th. And my formal complaint said that New Roots has no reason to request a reduction in the size of their required enrollment other than the fact they're unable to attract necessary numbers of students promised by them under the terms of their charter. They've been under-enrolled for all 3 years, and the Charter School Institute failed to adequately vet their enrollment application when it was presented originally. By not placing New Roots on probation, I made the assertion that CSI has not held the school to their accountability plan and has allowed them to remain under-enrolled without probationary status. The relief sought that I asked for was the assignment of probationary status for failure to adhere to the charter, to hold a series of public hearings in all 18 home districts from which New Roots students come, and to seek approval of the Board of Regents for the attempted change of charter. There was only one other public hearing held regarding New Roots, and that occurred in August of 2008 in this community. Many people spoke in opposition to the creation of the school, and 146 letters of opposition, individually written by the members of the Ithaca community, were submitted to the CSI, who failed to review them because they claimed they arrived too late to be considered. I am urging ICSG board members and the administration to prepare well for this public hearing on June 6th. We cannot ignore our responsibility on this matter. Our board must take action to see that factual presentation is made on behalf of our district. This is a litmus test for the upcoming charter renewal hearings that will be required next year. District leaders should be prepared with a position on enrollment adjustment issues, as well as other problems plaguing the school since its inception. This hearing should be broadly publicized to the Ithaca community and other communities. There's 18 different districts out there. Gathering facts and data are key to an informed presentation on the part of ICSD. I encourage the district to prepare well and make clear the position that no revision of charter should be allowed at this point in time. New routes should be put on probation for under-enrollment and poor academic performance. The CSI must follow its own laws when faced with this failing endeavor. An alteration of the charter at this time is unconscionable. Again, I urge the board and the district to take action now. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. And now we will get to the list and start with number 1. And Judy Maxwell, being a retired teacher with glasses, will read the names off. And
You know, that with glasses.
2 to 3 minutes, and we'll go now. Glad to hear from everyone. And Judy Max is going to lead the way here.
Daniel Truesdale. Amanda Angel Whitehead.
Hello, do I need to go anywhere? My name is Amanda Angel Whitehead, and I am the parent of a second grader at BJM, Ava Angel. And I'm here to advocate for the A+ program, which she has been a part of for the last 2 years. And, you know, essentially, I appreciate the fact that you all voted to approve the budget, but I also would like to advocate for the program to, you know, be enhanced that much more, and possibly be able to add on the Fridays, which there is no program, and such. I know it can be very difficult for those parents that are working. I know a number of people when they went to look at schools to enroll their children, we did lose them because they didn't have the after-school support at BJM, which that really was their first choice, but they weren't able to do that, and it's unfortunate. I think it's absolutely successful in every way. I think socially it's been exceptional for my daughter, as well as academically speaking. I know that a lot of programs are not as focused on academics, but A+ definitely is. My daughter has struggled in her reading and writing, and together with the school day and after school, the staff has worked diligently in working one-on-one with my daughter, and she has over time increased her, you know, abilities and has improved in every way in her reading and writing skills because of that. And when I go, and very quickly, when I go to my teacher conference meetings, we include the staff from the A+, because when we have a plan of action for my daughter, it incorporates A+ as part of that. So I can't imagine it not existing, and I would like to see there be additional support for the program, especially to add on that last aid, which is a big chunk of what was taken away that should, I think, be put back in. Thank you.
Bailey Reagan.
Hi, I'm also here to advocate for the BGM A+ program, and I've been a volunteer for the entire spring semester. And I think the connection that BJM has with Ithaca College and Cornell University is both effective and beneficial for all of those involved. There are over 35 student volunteers each semester that provide service to the A+ program. And these volunteers come from education departments, recreation departments, as well as writing departments of both Ithaca and Cornell. And volunteers help students with their homework as well as special extracurricular projects. And this semester I was very fortunate to work with the incredible staff of the after-school program as a grant writing intern. I wrote several grants for the program and was able to share my communication skills. I was a communication major. I just graduated on Sunday. And I was working on a newspaper project with the 3rd and 4th grade students. And this volunteer internship opportunity allowed me to realize that I enjoy grant writing, but I would like to become more focused on the development and of our public school system. And volunteers provide service to the A+ program, but it's the A+ program that provides volunteers with the life-changing experiences that they may never have gotten otherwise. So I thank all of you for your support of the program and look forward to the bright future they have ahead.
Hi, Ian. I get close.
That's what you're doing, Miss Judy.
Yes. So I have two children in the APA program. I have two children in the APA program, so I don't have a time to help the homework. So I'm so happy they have an APA program. So I never feel like that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
This is my first time. So I'm happy for the homework, the help my two children. So I hope they can help support the program. Please, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen McCaffrey.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about A+. I have two children at BJM in the A+ program, a 7-year-old first grader who said to me a couple days ago, "Mom, do they call it A+ because if you go there, you always get an A+ on your homework?" I always get mine done there. And I have a 9-year-old who's in 3rd grade who has an IEP, and he has struggled quite a bit with being focused and getting his homework done. My two children had spent a year and a half in a larger after-school program in Ithaca. They were bused to it, 30-minute bus ride after school. I would pick them up at 5 o'clock because I have to work till that time. And then from 5 to 8 in our house would be a series of meltdowns, stressed out, I can't do my homework, I'm too tired. Well, of course, at 5 o'clock they're too tired. It's too loud there. They were in a large, single room, kind of a holding tank, where 40 children were watched by 4 teachers. I switched them to the A+ program in November of this year, and my 9-year-old comes home at 5 o'clock, having had a 1-hour block every day from 4 to 5, where he sits with a 3rd grade support teacher who helps make sure he gets through what he needs to do. And then he comes home, he feels proud that he's done his work, and he can focus on relaxing and enjoying the rest of the evening. So I see the A+ program as really standing apart from other after-school programs, because in addition to, of course, snacks and playtime, which children need, they get focused attention to feel successful in their academics. And I also have 2 children who come home having worked with Cornell and Ithaca students and the amazing staff members of the A+ program with robotic cars, with cultural information on how Christmas is celebrated in Ethiopia, with a 7-year-old who now eats risotto and butternut squash. She wants me to make it just the way Haley does. So I see this huge range of enrichment and academic support. My 9-year-old son has 2 friends who would like to join the program, but their families have said, "We're so envious of all this your children can do, but we have to work on Fridays. If the program was offered on Fridays, we would send them there as well." Thank you.
Haley Dossinger.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm speaking, thank you so much for approving the budget. I am actually an A+ employee and have been for 7 years. It is a job I love to no end. I have grown so much within this job, and I have learned how to write 2 grants myself, one for the garden club, which I run, and one for the cooking club, which I run, both of which I love. And I really think A+ is an amazing program because it is a place. As a kid, I was an artist, and I had a really difficult time in school because it was so academic focused. And I remember my dad saying to me one day, "Well, you can learn history if you look at these paintings that you love and connect the time frame that they were painted with what was happening in history, because oftentimes paintings really express what is going on in history." And so I think A+ is such an amazing place for me because I can actually teach kids that might not sometimes do so well in the classroom through other things like gardening and cooking. We use rulers, we write things, we read, the children read. We use all the skills that they learn in the day in the enrichment that's provided in after school. And so for me, it's a really great place because I get to touch kids like I was touched through my art teachers and all the people that help me learn in a non-traditional way. So I'm so happy you're supporting the program, and I hope your support continues and the program is able to thrive, because everyone I work with at that program and all of the families are amazing, and it has been such a pleasure to work at A+ for the last 7 years. So.
Kamali Johnson.
Hi, Kamari Johnson.
Oh, sorry.
That's part of my handwriting. I'm also here to show support for the A+ program. I guess my son is now in 2nd grade, and he was going there a few years ago when it was more supported financially. So we were there when it dropped to a 4-day-a-week program, and then also the expenses kept going up, although the programming did not suffer, and we were really happy for that. But I'm glad it's the proof that I still would like to see the program get more funding, because I know what it had last year still wasn't as much as it had 2 years ago. And I also just wanted to sing the praises of the staff and the programming. When it was cut down to 4 days a week, it was challenging for us to stay there, but it was very challenging, and we decided to make ultimately the decision for him to continue at A+. The first reason was just because of how professional the staff was. We are familiar with lots of other programs as well, and when we saw that these were not teenagers, a lot of times after school programs have people who work there and who they advertise as working with the kids have all these child development specialties, but they're usually kind of in an office doing the programming, and there's like less qualified people that are actually working with your children, and there we get to see that the people who they advertise are working with your program are actually working with your program, and it does feel like an extension of the school day. When we get his things back from A+, we have a hard time determining what came from the school day and what came from the after-school care program, so that was really nice. And in terms of just how professional and the ratio between children, our students and staff, my son is extremely shy. A+, even for his school performance, he wouldn't speak, but A+ had him in a play. We had speaking roles, so like in 2 years at A+, he was way more comfortable. I think the play was actually one of the outside community programs, so I think it was written and directed by an IC student, is that right? Yeah, so seeing the payoffs of a professional staff that understands child development and a school curriculum was amazing. Some of the other things, I mean, the play performance was really one of the highlights, but he also had a chance to learn recorder, recipes that he does like to cook when we come home, that we get to bring home. The gardening experience there, learning about plants and seasons and which plants, perennials and all those things he learned through A+. And the homework opportunity is also an amazing thing too, with those kind of ratios. What else did I say? I guess I'm just kind of adding on, but I basically wanted to just make sure that people knew how important the program was, and I couldn't imagine a better and more worthy investment for the board a program for the board to invest in. I mean, it's just crucial. There are a lot of single working parents and just working parents in general, and other students that also just need, just could use more, benefit from more attention in a longer extended day. So that's just what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thanks.
Far Carey.
I'm Far Carey. I'm a school psychologist at BJM, and I'm the parent of a 2nd grader at BJM who's in the after-school program at A+. I'm actually going to start by sharing something that was written by a 1st grade student. It was actually dictated to her mother about the A+ program. She says, "I like your A+ program. I like art. I can draw and make houses with reusable boxes. I especially like when Miss Haley makes food. It's really fun when she does garden club because they get to eat food and do planting in the garden. I really like it. It's really fun for me to do all these activities, and I really like my A+ teachers. We're making masks, and it's really fun because we get to do them. I've never made a mask before, and I get to paint. I'm going to put jewels and feathers and stuff on my mask, and all of the A+ things are so much fun, really fun. We get to run, and when it's all done, we get to do free choice. We get to do what time is it, Mr. Fox, and stuff like that. I really like all the A+ people." So those are the words directly from one of the kids who's being impacted by this program, and she's a new student to the program this year. I'd also like just to reiterate everything that everybody else has said in terms of the impact that this program has on our kids. My daughter adores this program. She comes home, I ask her how her day was, and everything she tells me comes out of A+. I hear very little about what happens during the classroom in the day, but she comes home talking about all the science stuff they do with Ilma from the Science Center and all the cooking she does with Miss Haley. And oftentimes I come together and she says, "No, let me stay a little longer. I'm not ready to go home yet." So it's really been an amazing program for her. And they've been very sensitive to her needs. She's a highly anxious kid, and there's been things that have been challenging for her, and they've always worked with me and worked with her to make things comfortable for her. My son is slated to go to A+ next year, assuming the program is in existence, and he will be absolutely devastated if it is not there because he talks about it every day. And I also want to speak just from my role as a school psychologist in the building. I know almost all the kids that are in the program. I know the home situations that many of these kids come from. And these kids are kids that benefit so much from the enrichment activities that they're being offered. Many of them, if they didn't have this opportunity, might not be able to afford other after-school programs, and would be home either wandering the neighborhood or sitting in their house. I've actually spoken to a couple of kids, one boy in particular who said to me recently that his mom doesn't let him go out in the neighborhood at home. So when he's home and not at A+, he's sitting in his house. So this is an opportunity to give kids all of the enrichment activities and all of these opportunities that they might not have otherwise. And I really hope that we can continue to support the A+ program and keep it running for much longer. And I would agree with others that I think if we can extend it to be open on Fridays as well, I think we'd be able to reach a lot more kids. And the affordability of the program really makes it accessible for many of our families. So I think we need to consider that as well.
Jenna Goodmore.
It's Goodman.
Goodman.
Hi, thank you for talking to us and hearing all our stories tonight. I know that you've heard a lot of things about academic enrichment program at BJM, and I have 2 children there. I've been in that program. This will be my 5th year that I have a child in the program. We've been in programs not enrichment programs, and they are holding tanks. It's supervised chaos. It isn't homework supervision, it isn't homework help. It isn't developing good study habits. It isn't learning to get your work done first, then play. I have a child now who will not play until her homework is done. And that's from years of being in BJM enrichment program and learning. We sit, we get a small group, we do our homework, then you get a choice. The choices are wonderful and rich, and you've heard all about them. You know how good they are. I have kids that eat better, kids that relate to each other better. I have kids that have good study habits, that are getting bank accounts and learning how to save money, who are pursuing interest in fashion and sewing because of their experiences there. My plea tonight is, I know you've already supported the program by voting, so it kind of took all of the fire from the situation, but when the program lost a lot of funding, it did cut down to 4 days a week. And that's a really hard thing. I know nobody wanted to make that choice, and it was a very sad choice for the program to do. They wouldn't have done it if they couldn't have kept it open. And the number of volunteers and the creativity that they use in providing this program with the small amount of money and the large amount of students. I think there's 85 students in this program. So being a parent that works 5 days a week with a 4-day-a-week program is a very difficult choice for me. I am a parent that pays the full tuition for Academic plus another almost $1,000 a year for that Friday alone. Now, I have the ability, and I'm very fortunate to have that ability to pay that. I am blessed. If I did not have that ability, I would have a few choices. I could find another program, maybe a holding tank kind of a program, a supervised arts and crafts program. I could, send them 4 days a week and send my kid to an empty house on the 5th day. So that's the reality of the situation without additional funding. They're doing the best that they can with what they have. It's fantastic. You'll just hear all about how wonderful it is. But without a little bit more support, it's a dangerous situation. And so I'm asking the board to consider
adding a little bit more here. That you know that the staff will use every penny that they can in the best way possible. And I trust them, and I believe in everything that they do. So I just ask you all to consider it.
Beth Tablets.
Hi, I'm Beth. I'm a parent at BJM, and you know, kind of summed it up pretty nicely. I just want to see a hand for anyone who's here in support of the program, because there's a lot of people here who came in support of the program, and I just want to acknowledge that. A lot of people still want to speak. Well, I know a lot of people, you all are supporting it, so I appreciate that. Just not to say too much now, my kids very strongly did not want to go to after school, dug their heels in, and I said, you have to go, you know, I have no choice, and they now beg me, screaming, crying to go on days when I say, I can pick you up early today. They don't want me to pick them up early. They don't want me. So all the wonderful activities, art and gardening and cooking and sewing and things also that they wouldn't have opportunities to do otherwise after school. And I think by supporting the program, it's not just, it affects our kids, but I think it really affects the greater Ithaca community. And so I thank you in that way. And it affects the district's goal of equity across the board in that way also, I think, are important issues. So thank you very much. And the other thing is the relationships, I think, are really important that come out of the kids. They have barely any discipline issues there. I mean, rarely do you see a kid, anything going on when I pick kids up or talk to the teachers. And I think that says a lot to what's going on at the program, but I think that also transfers to the kids, for my kids, for the other kids during the school day. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Sherry Hubbard.
I am apparently raising two little rebel children, kind of like I've heard Seth say before. He's got a bunch of rebel children. They were outraged when they found out we were coming down here to speak to you, and they weren't allowed to come with us because of bedtime. So I promised them I would speak for them and share their thoughts with you, because I think it's really important their voices are heard. My youngest son is a 9-year-old in 3rd grade, and this is what he had to say. I like spending time with my friends, and if A+ wasn't there, I would not be able to because we live so far away. I like having a big computer lab where I can do things with my friends, and I like how the homework room is so quiet. It's quieter than the public library. And I like how they have college volunteers to come in and how they'll help you and do fun activities with you. This year, I learned all the things from garbage to gadgets. I've never even touched a glue gun before. And I like Haley's program. I planted some beans in the BJM garden and cooked some food from around the world. At school, the older you get, the less recess you have, and that really bugs me. And during A+, I get the same amount of recess no matter how old I am, so I get extra time to be with my friends from my grade and from the other grades. Miss Marie is my favorite person in A+, because she runs the program, and I would not have met a lot of people if she wasn't running A+. And I love the way she is nice to us, and I like how she does the activities, like when she calls people in from the Science Center or Cornell. And I like how she lets kids make their own clubs and choices. So that's my 9-year-old. My 11-year-old, who is in 5th grade, who also has fits if I pick him up early from A+ frequently, says, I like how we learn things in daily life in this program. These are his words. Like in cooking, I used a knife for the first time, and I also learned how to bike through the city, which is how I will get around in college. I also like it that I'm doing these things with my closest friends. In my time in Garbage to Gadgets, I did things that were totally different from when my brother was in there. In the floating classroom, I learned how to measure the deepness of the lake, and that was really fun and interesting. One of the staff there, Miss Rakoff, has helped me figure out things in homework which I never could have figured out on my own. Miss Marie is one of the nicest people I know. She gives lots of warning if someone's doing something wrong. And she organizes and takes care of me and the program, and is really nice, is as nice to the parents as she is to me. So thank you for your support, and we look forward to your continued support.
Thank you.
Rob?
I have the same two kids. Sherry covered almost all of it along with everyone else. I think it's important to note that even though you've already made your decision, so many people stayed to speak on behalf of A+. I think that says a lot about the program right there. And the only other thing I wanted to add was the kids that are in the program, there's a large portion of them that qualify for free or reduced lunch, or that are special needs kids. And because BJM has been identified as a school in need of improvement, I think it's unavoidable that money will end up being spent to help these kids reach the standard that everyone wants them to be at. And I've never seen a more efficient use of dollars than what this program does. They do so much with so little money that I can't think of a better investment.
Aaron Spicer?
Thanks for your time, and I'm glad that this is going swimmingly. We're all on the same page. You voted yes to bring this program back next year. My son Max is 10 and has been at BJM his whole elementary school career. He hates coming home at 2. He wants to stay and do the cooking, the math homework help, and all the other good things that they provide. The only question that I couldn't answer for him was, why not Friday? And that seems to be the only negative thing that I'm hearing from anybody in this room, is that the program is simply not offered on Fridays. Now, I imagine that most of you have somewhere to be at 2 o'clock on a Friday. I do too. That's at BJM picking up Max. So if you can slide any more money towards the program to open it on Fridays, that would probably be helpful for everybody in here. I'm going to keep it short and just say thank you for voting yes. And it's obviously a spectacular program that all of these kids want to be in. Give them one more day, if you can. Please.
Michael?
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to advocate for the A+ program, coming from 2 perspectives, as a parent, and I also worked there for 2 years. Everybody already covered how great the program is. I have an 8-year-old and a 9-year-old goes there who has grown tremendously in all aspects of their life. Miss Marie, I call her the great Miss Marie. I mean, she just does everything, and she loves everybody. I love the kids, the staff. Coming from a staff perspective, I have the great honor to work with them for the last 2 years. It's just total love for these kids, something that they need to see. So to hear that everything is voted in for this program is great. I think it's a great thing, and I just want to thank you guys for just voting that in. And if we can get that Friday, like God said, that would be great too. So I'm just here to advocate for the A+ program. I'm also a teacher at BJM, and like I said, I worked for A+ for 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mona Smiley.
Good evening, I'm Mona Smiley. I'm a former staff member of A+. I'm also, I call myself a veteran parent. I've had 3 boys that have gone through A+ and working on my 3rd right now. Lord willing, he might get to the end of the year. To me, A+ is more than just an after-school program. It's an extension of, I'm actually just going to speak on Karish, who's the youngest. He's in 3rd grade now. It's the extension of his day. He's tough. Some of you know him. You've seen him in action, you know he's tough. He's hard, is all I can say. So in order for him to get his homework done and it not be a hassle for me so that I can focus on the other 2 that are home with us, A+ has been a godsend for him. He's come home sometimes with homework that I've never seen before. I can't figure it out. I have a college degree and I still can't do surgery work. But to have the staff here, they're with them during the day, so he can go to any one of the staff members and they understand what the teacher is looking for. So it makes my life a little bit easier. The enrichments have been incredible for him. There are certain things that he's learned there that he probably won't have the opportunity to do if it wasn't for them. I think the Friday programming, my job would appreciate it because he comes to work with me on Friday afternoons. I pick him up at 2 and take him back to my office with me if Uncle DJ's not around. So, you know, if there's funding available that, you know, you can make for them to have the Friday programming, that would be great. You're welcome.
Robert Lofthouse.
I think pretty much everything's already been said. The staff is amazing. I think that it's just magic, really. They just work so hard together, and I don't think enough good things have been said about Murray. I don't think that a program like this runs itself, and to manage that many volunteers that effectively, and to keep the staff with the attitude that they have, I think is just amazing. So, if there's any way you can add some support to the program, I'd really appreciate it.
Thank you. Michelle.
Robert and I have Nina, and she's in 2nd grade, and so much has been said, but I want to thank you so much for your support, and I want to add that many of you know that Robert and I have a company, and we have a marketing contract with you, and when we do a content analysis of the positive stories that come out of schools, when you think about BJM, so many stories come out about A+, and other programs, and so one of the things I want to say is that I just came back from a conference where we were speaking about parenting, and I want to admit that sometimes the best part of parenting is not thinking about your child. And so when Nina is at A+, I don't think about her because I know she's in great hands. And from 2 o'clock to whenever, she's with family. So the love that you see in the room is real, and the individuals here are all connected. Some of us have been together since preschool. And so one thing Miss Marie did one time is she calls on the phone and she said, people don't challenge Miss Marie, but Nina seems to have felt the need to. That was an interesting conversation. But I want to say from the STEM support, from looking at the sciences, from applied education, from independence, Nina has far more decision-making skills and conflict resolution skills. And she took Spanish. One of the things I love a lot is that she's been in plays. She has a strong, I don't know where she'll get it, she's a strong artistic side. But I feel like she's her own person, and A+ helps develop that for her. So I want to thank you, and I want to say that every single thing that you've heard is true, and I can attest that the staff, Nina comes home, she mentions every single staff member by name, and she talks about A+ more than her school day. So every single staff member and every story that they've told and every way that they know her as an individual has been really inspirational. So I want to thank the staff, and I want to thank the advisory board and this board for their support.
Thanks, Michelle. That's the last person signed up for tonight, and a late arrival. So we will do one more person talking about A+.
I just, as the president of the A+ Advisory Board, kind of by default, I really want to thank the board very much for their support. I also want to extend a tremendous and huge, heartfelt thank to all the staff who have been putting in so much time over these last couple of weeks with so little to go by, unpaid, not knowing if they're going to get paid. It just was, thank you, thank you, thank you. And to all the parents, and to Denise and Mrs. Scott, and everybody who has been supporting this program for so long. It has been tremendous. It has been incredibly stressful, and I could cry right now. So I thank everybody so much for everything, and including the board. Thank you. This program has so many great qualities, and most of it is that it does so much for our kids, and so much for so many kids who need something like this in the entire district. So I thank you for your continued support, and I hope this program grows, and I hope it becomes part of Dr. Brown's broader vision, which is so wonderful. And thank you, everybody, so, so much. And I resign.
careful, that could spread. I mean.
I go home and sleep.
And on board responses, I see Seth first.
Hey, first of all, Tarjay, stand up for a minute. I just got to take a moment to not only show my appreciation for everybody coming out from A+, but also recognize this young man here. This is Tarjay's Mona's son. He's one of our fine student athletes. Not only did he go through A+ and BGM, but also he's on his way to IC. Next year.
I expect you to come see me next semester, young man. Yeah.
But you know, I don't get to express this a lot, but you know, the whole community is really proud of what you've done, and you know, you did a great job, and we're really happy for you.
Good job.
Anything else about Tajay? I know about.
I'm not going to follow up. I'll see Tajay later.
Go ahead, Chris.
Being having two children that went through A+, and know I could have spoken everything that everyone said, you know, double, and really, really appreciate what you folks do and the commitment that you bring to the table. And I think, for me, I won't speak for the rest of the vote was a no-brainer. My only goal is to not have to vote next year. That is my true and ultimate goal. I don't want to. I want to see this so that we don't have to get to this point, because something of this caliber should not be. We should not have to sit here and have folks worry if this is going to continue or not.
Bradford.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and put a little perspective to this and point out that we're talking about 85 children out of about 2,800 children. So that you're being granted $1,000 a child by the taxpayers over the course of this year that other taxpayers' children did not get. And I want to make that clear, and I want you to have that perspective. I know you want a Friday, and I know you want more. There's 2,500 other children, you know, in a different situation. And I think you need to understand that as well, that you're in a different situation. A program that started 10 years ago with a state grant targeted at only 35 children. It's evolved into something different at this point. One of the things we've asked the superintendent to do is look at after school for all the children in the district. And you've got to understand that it's 7 other buildings. It looks different than it looks like at BJM, and you know, it may move in the direction of 2 days for all the children or something like that. You need to understand, you know, that we have a responsibility to all the kids, not just 85. That's 1 in 5 in your building. That's only 1 in 5 out of your building. So we've got, you know, a responsibility. There's about 400 in the building.
No, there's 300.
Isn't it?
There's 300. No.
300, sorry, so it's 1 in 4. Sorry. You're right, so it's 1 in 4 in that building. So we've got, you know, we've got a responsibility to all those children. I want you to understand our perspective, and that this is, what, the 3rd time in the 5 years that I've been on the board that you've arrived here in May with your pockets turned inside out. Not having managed the budget through the course of the year, and you know, from my perspective, that also needs to stop. You know, once you have a budget number, like everybody else, you got to kind of live with it to get through the year. So just wanted to put a little different perspective on it for you. I understand the program's great, I get all that, but you know, there's a lot of other kids in the schools too.
Here, we agree. Should be for all.
Go ahead.
A combination of both Chris and what Brad said. I think one of the times we have difficulty with decisions like this because no one doubts the merit or the value added to our young folks. But it starts raising questions about what it means for the other buildings as well. And it starts raising questions about the finances get up there quickly. So as everyone has said, of course the board understands what a Friday would mean. we were part of this conversation when it happened. It was difficult for everybody around. You have board members who've had children go through this program and other programs, so of course we understand the value added of it. The thing that I wrestle with as well is if the district is funding the program, then the district should have oversight over the program. And I'm not sure it's a conversation that folks want to have either, so we have to have a number of conversations to move forward. All the great attributes that people have mentioned, we're very much aware of. All the concerns and suggestions for improvement, we're aware of as well. And that was my point, let's keep the dialogue going forward, because I think it raises a bunch of questions about not what just happens at BJM, but we have a number of high-need schools and high-need students that need services, and trying to find the balance. And so it may seem like the board is not giving the BJM A+ program what it needs, but that's not the case at all. We're trying to balance that across 7 other elementary schools with a whole bunch of high-needs districts to provide excellence for all of our young folks. So I just want to, I think Brad's perspective is an important perspective for us to bear as we move forward. And Chris's notion, how do we try to organize this in a way in which it becomes institutional and doesn't rely on support or guessing towards the end of the season. So let's see what we do moving forward, Dr. Brown. We put that on your shoulders.
And
you cannot resign like some folks.
And Dr. Brown, I will only add that we heard the other piece, which frankly is a concern to all of us. My child got so much more out of the A+ program after school than the school day. So that's a concern. So, we need to take a look at what we're doing in all elementary schools throughout the school day. And is that, I would think, be our primary concern. That's our primary focus with our funds. And then how do we incorporate after school with that? But if the kids are getting out of the day a lot more after school rather than in school, then we have lots of work to do. So that's where those are the discussions that Sean was talking about, I believe, earlier. Elder, go ahead.
I think it was 2 budget seasons ago. This program and other after-school programs were on the chopping block. So we actually did a pretty in-depth data analysis. And I tell you, I personally learned a tremendous amount about the level of poverty in SES as a percentage in other schools. It's actually shocking. In schools that you might not think, elementary schools, would have the need. And I remember other people at this table asked specifically whether or not teachers in the day were involved in teaching the little people after school, right? Because we needed that academic continuity, because the teacher knows best what math support the young person needs after school. And we haven't resolved either of those issues, right? So to the folks who expressed a legitimate need to have, and I don't mean this pejoratively, it's a real need, child care for additional day, just keep that in mind. If you saw the data of the need in other schools, I hope it would make you think maybe we should be extending those other programs from a day to 3 days, from 2 days to 4 days. From my perspective, after school, this is just my experience in a really big city. It's always been about the children who both needed academic support, a safe place to be because their environment itself was dangerous, right? And they needed supports that middle-class parents might find an alternative mechanism to provide for their children, right? This is not what we've been doing in a lot of cases in this district, and even at BJM. It is not the case, right? So if you're going to ask this particular board member where my values lie, it's going to be in support of those children who are in some pretty dire circumstances, right? So I don't know how this is going to morph. This is our decision maker, but I can tell you that after we looked at that data, I was ready to go away from 4 days then. Despite all the wonderful things you've discussed about the program at BJM, we have other needs in this community for our after-school program.
Since Eldred has pointed out a decision maker, I think Dr. Brown would like to add a last word, and then we're going to move on.
Yeah, I sense a lot of eyes looking at me with a bunch of questions behind those eyes. Ding! It's just I appreciate so many folks being here, and I look forward to working with so many folks, all the folks here, to make some continuous improvements to the program. As a person who did my doctoral work in co-curricular opportunities, it was a quantitative study, and I found that this is the one silver bullet when you look at these as co-curricular opportunities. It's a silver bullet to increasing achievement. It was a quantitative study and I found that it increased leadership, academic achievement on standardized tests, enrollment in other activities, and I could put 10 things out there, and we've talked about those things. But tonight I heard the qualitative pieces that I am excited about. I challenge any student who's listening now to do a qualitative study to follow up on my study around the power of co-curricular opportunities. Should it be 5 days a week? Yes. Should it be part of the regular school day? Yes. I think when we're thinking about this as a different piece to the school day, we've already thought about it from a deficit model versus a model that we should be thinking about. So as we continue to talk about our Enriching the Day Generates Excellence program, our EDGE program, and other things that we're doing to improve or transform teaching and learning during the school day, I'm hoping we talk about them in the same breath versus talking about them in separate pieces. And when we do that, as we build a budget starting here first. Now the oversight pieces and the management pieces, those are things we can all do in our sleep. Because I see CEOs of companies and managers who can do those things in their sleep. But I think we need to come up with a definition of what this program is and how it's truly connected to the school day, and vice versa first. And then everything else takes care of itself. But again, I want someone to take my study and then do some more with it and add this qualitative piece. Because tonight I heard some powerful data that just sort of speaks to why we build our budget the way we do.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. And we will move on, if we could, to the consent agenda.
I'll second. Jay Truth,
Second by Sean, second by Jay. It is a fairly detailed and long consent agenda. Multiple items. Anyone wish?
Could Dr. Brown like to tell us about the one-to-one initiative?
Yes, I will. Excited about it, actually. We will be bringing forward a more formal presentation and information sharing session at some point in the near future. What I can tell you is that through the generosity of IPEI and so many donors, we funded 10 one-to-one classrooms. When I say one-to-one classroom, I mean every young person in that classroom has a mobile device. Right now it's an iPad, the teacher has a device, and we have an electronic projection system in that classroom as well. 10 classrooms. And when you see the stories, the qualitative data, and the quantitative data that we're compiling right now, and the video segments, you're going to see the power of how this tool, this teaching tool, and this initiative is changing teaching and learning. So again, we have 10 classrooms right now that are outfitted as part of the teaching and learning with technology. We're bringing forward much more quantitative data in the presentation at some point, which includes surveys of students and adults. But right now, to have this at this point in the year, funded by our community, is important. So I just want to put that out there. And thank you again, IPEI, if anyone's not.
Give us a breakdown of where those classrooms are.
And that'll be part of the presentation as well. We have it at every level. So right now, I believe we have 2 at the elementary level, 2 at the middle school level, and 6 at the high school level. So we have our 9th grade students all have a device, whether they're in the car or they're going home with young people. Our added students have them at the high school, and we have varying grade levels at the middle and elementary level. Everyone from the 2nd grade through in the 5th grade classroom. So at all levels, and we're learning much from this program. But the beauty of our one-to-one implementation or our pilot program is that it's been a community-wide conversation. There's been things in the media. The community is making donations to support this. We're talking about using these tools as teaching tools versus it being a piece of technology that's been laid on top of all other things. So we're transforming the ways to use these tools.
Anything else? There are multiple items for everyone to see. If there's no other questions, we'll just move on. All in favor? Looks like everyone. We good? Yeah. All right, Judy?
Yeah.
All right. I think I missed a page. And Dr. Brown, I believe we're up.
All right. I have several items, several important items. I'm so happy so many folks stayed around because I think they're going to be excited about these things. So first, I wish to thank the community and the board for your support of this budget process. We passed the budget yet again, and we're very thankful for that. And congratulations to board members who are elected again. I'm also happy about that. Thinking back to the budget, some of the comments that I was hearing was that this was a quiet, and many of us have said it was a quiet budget season. And in one perspective, from one perspective, yes, that's true, but from others, it isn't. I can't tell you the number of calls and emails I received from folks from all over the country who are wondering how we're doing our budget process here. One, it being non-controversial, and 2, us adding in an area when everyone else is cutting. So people are excited about what we're doing, and when I say it's not quiet on that front, people are wondering what we're doing in Ithaca. So I wanted the board to understand and appreciate that, like I'm appreciating right now. Mr. Anglin and I, we have multiple invitations to go speak, like we said last year, about our budget process, but and we won't take them up on all of them, but I just want people to know that people are recognizing that we're doing this budget process well in a very transparent way that is a model for others to do. So again, thanks to the community and you for your support of the budget. And if I can transition now to appointments. Tonight I was to make, what the board approved, we recommended to the board several key leadership positions going forward. We will be making recommendations for key leadership appointments over the next month or two, but tonight we're bringing 3 that we're so excited about. When speaking with the staff at Beaver Heights today, I opened with that I was nervous. For the first time in my superintendent's, my tenure here, I was nervous, and I felt like I wouldn't be able to deliver on a promise I had made to them. I promised that we would find the best leaders in this country for the open positions, whether they were at the building level or whether they were at the central level. And quite frankly, after hearing from the communities at individual school buildings, hearing from you as board members, and hearing from the community about what you wanted, I didn't know we had that many supermen or women in this country, quite frankly. And how could we lure folks from where they were within people who are that good are oftentimes safe where they are. How do you lure people who are safe into the snowy Northeast, where we call Ithaca? So I was struggling, I was a bit nervous. But I'm here to say to you, at this time, we found the best people in this country to do these jobs. And I think through this process, I'm not only saying that, but the folks who had a chance to meet these folks and vet them through the interview process, through the committee interviews, through the one-on-one conversations, through the small group conversations, they will sign off with me that these are the best people and the best fits for these individual situations. So tonight I wish to share a little bit about these individuals, and I have a couple. Some are local. We found some folks close to home, and we found some way away in some hotter places in this country too. So I'm going to have all of them come to the table tonight in some way, form, or another. We have one, and we'll start with one who's here with us tonight. At Beaver Heights Elementary, we're recommending, and you've approved, Mr. Brad Pollard. Mr. Brad Pollard, and stand up, Brad. And we're going to ask you to come up in a second and shake our board member's hand. We're so happy to have this gentleman. He's a seasoned administrator. He's been a principal in 2 different buildings. He's turned around 2 different buildings. He was a school psychologist for 21 years? 23 years in Groton. He was an assistant principal. He's done it all. Someone asked me at Beaver Heights today what I like most about Brad, and after checking up on him, and believe me, Bob Van Kuren has taught me more about background check than I ever wanted to know. If you did something in 5th grade, Bob would know about it. But after checking up on this gentleman here, every person we spoke to, and who had an opportunity to interact with him, spoke to how much he loved children. He is that principal who will go on a field trip when the teacher's sick. He is that principal who will be in a preschool classroom every day, in the kindergarten classroom every day. This gentleman has content area expertise. This gentleman knows the school. He's from here. He's been driving to Elmira every day because he was committed to the school, trying to run over there. Now he gets to drive a few minutes to get to some efforts here to make an already good school great. So we're excited about Brad. We're excited that he chose to come home in many ways. And I think many other folks who've had the opportunity to meet him already through this process are excited as well. So Mr. Brad Pollard, would you mind coming around and shaking our book?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, welcome. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Brett.
Dr. Brown, Brad's tie is a little flashy.
That's good. He works with.
He had hello. That didn't work. I don't know about that. All right. I'm excited about this next gentleman also. The BJM folks, please continue to sit on your hands. You got to wait. Let me get through this.
Well, Dr. Brown, I was at a PTA meeting at BJM when we discussed the principal search, and my charge to you, Dr. Brown, that we had to find a rock star for BJM and we had to find a rock star for Cuba Heights.
Yeah.
Did we do that, Dr. Brown?
Yes, we did. The challenges keep coming, as I think everyone is noticing from each year. It's never stopped. So we did find the best person in this country for BJM. hands down. We had to go as far as Houston, Texas to do so. A gentleman who's also a seasoned administrator, he's working in the middle school right now, and I've been texting furiously with him for the last half an hour because he's been in and out of a high school, middle school dance. Is that right, Linus? You've been in the dance all afternoon. The talent show, I'm sorry. So he's been in and out of the talent show all afternoon. So he's here with us. The Dr. Guillory, he just earned his doctorate from Oklahoma State University, and I'm hoping that everyone recognizes the accent, by the way, too. He's a Southern guy. He's coming here from Houston, Texas. He's been a teacher there, an administrator there. He's also worked for NASA. That's the place with those big ships that go up in the air. He's worked for NASA also. He was an educator, an educational specialist for NASA, and he was continued to be promoted at NASA until he decided to come back into public school and public education. This gentleman came in, and I think the second he met everyone, from the second he walked in our door here until at the restaurants we took him to, everyone has been charmed by his expertise, his presence, and that feel good, that sense of I'm here to love children and do right by your community. The committee, he was their #1 choice also. After some negotiations, we're having him come to Ithaca, New York, as the new principal of BJM, Beverly J. Martin. And Linus, I know you can't see them, but we can all see you, and you're rather large here too, Linus. You won't be able to shake board members' hands tonight, but anything you wish to say to the community and folks here who are so excited, I know that you're going to be coming to join us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown, and thank you to the Ithaca City School District School Board, as well as the parents and community there. I've been listening attentively, as Dr. Brown stated, to your board meeting tonight, and have been taking notes furiously. So I am on board, and I certainly, I told Dr. Brown it was one of the things my wife asked me. She said, well, what are you going to say when they ask you why do you want to be at BJM? And I said, I want to make it the school of choice for Ithaca City School District. And that's something that I hear. I've fallen in love. I actually brought her back down, and we drove around the block and drove through the neighborhood. So we were really excited about the opportunities to work at Beverly J. Martin as well as in the Ithaca City School District. So thank you so much for your warm welcome. And I told Dr. Brown that it's approaching 96, 97 degrees here, so I'm ready for cooler weather.
I don't miss those days, Linus. I don't miss those days. But welcome, man.
What is his name?
Linus Guillory. Am I saying it right, Linus? Yeah.
That is it.
All right. That's Linus Guillory.
Dr.
Linus Guillory. And begin, you can get off your hands now. I know you want to say. So Dr. Guillory will be starting actually July 1, but he has some time to be here before July 1 to do some transition planning with the outgoing principal and the staff. So he's looking forward to being here and moving. His wife is also in New York. We're looking forward to him being here. I'm going to have to hang up because I couldn't do that group talking, Lana, so I'm going to hang up on you, but we'll be talking later, okay?
Sounds good.
Take care.
I think he outdoes your accent.
Yeah, he has the true stuff in there. Southern gentleman. All right, let me get this other guy on the phone. And Southern Charm. So, we're happy with our principalship. Yeah, very happy with our principalship. And we're going to hopefully get the video. A little video there, Mr. Lawrence. Hit that video button.
What's that?
The video button. There we go.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. So the principalships we're excited about. We also knew that it would be. Oh wow. A little extra light there, Matt, would be fine. Anytime. Spotlight, something, flashlight, iPhone. Give me something right now. So this guy's from Virginia. so we moved from Texas to Virginia. And tonight we're bringing to you the first of what will be several recommendations for central office appointments. I'll just say, this is the brightest elementary mind that I've ever had a chance to work with or be engaged with. He came here, and like Linus, the second he walked through the door, people were engaged by what he was saying and his presence and what he knew. He, again, vetted through a committee, and a tough committee, I mean, a tough committee. And this committee, we tasked this committee to find, especially at the central level, we only wanted to bring people in on this new central team that were the best at what they did and who could help us move the work in ways that we hadn't even imagined. And this committee only put forward a few names. And this gentleman was the first one he put forward. And fortunately, someone that I have had an opportunity to see in action every day. And I'm here to tell you, he's the real deal. He started his career as a Teach for America candidate in Baltimore City Public Schools. He stayed longer than his appointment. He stayed 5 years there. He moved from Baltimore City into an assistant principalship, and where he and I first connected. And as an assistant principal in two different buildings, he then moved into a principalship. And I will tell you, he was put into the toughest principalships in the individual school districts, and he turned both of them around. While being a building level principal, at the same time, he's been doing district level work. The things that we've been speaking about, human capital, teaching and learning framework, instructional coaching, professional learning community work. This gentleman designed those processes at a district level, he's implemented them at a district level, and he's done them at a school level at the same time. He's been in the trenches. When you talk to people who know him, people who've had the opportunity to be with him for 45 minutes doing an interview, people who've worked with them at any point in their careers will say that he gets how the work is done in the trenches. He can lead the work in the trenches, and he's a systems thinker. I'm so excited about this gentleman joining our team. It's been a long month trying to convince he and his family to move to the Northeast also. But this gentleman, having lived in Chicago for a long time, he knew what it was like to be in the cold weather, but he had got spoiled by the southern weather there for a while. But Mr. Landau is a decorated person from the University of Virginia. He's received several awards that I wish I had won there. He's actually won them. And he's actually going to be earning his doctorate from the University of Virginia this summer. So I introduce to you Mr. soon-to-be Dr. Matt Landau, who's going to be our Chief Elementary Officer. Mr. Landau, welcome. Did you get all that? I'll never say those nice things about you again, public. So I hope you got it all on tape.
I have it down. So thank you for that great introduction, and thank you to the school board and the members of the committee and the citizens of Ithaca for making this appointment. We're very, very excited to move up. And in fact, I'm coming up later this week to try to find a house, and so hopefully everything will work out on that end, but we are very, very excited. And just hearing the board meeting tonight and hearing the parents from BJM talking about the programs just got me really excited about working on that too. So I'm very, very excited, and I apologize about the room I'm in. This is the home office right now. I had some tech problems at school, and so I had to go home to figure things out, and so I'm in a kind of a closet.
Tell the truth.
I couldn't tell, Matt.
Tell the truth, Matt. You both have 7-month-olds at home. You're 7-month-olds in another room. You're hiding right now to have this up. Just tell the truth.
That indeed is the truth. That's why it's a little dark too, because he was probably trying to fall asleep, about 15 feet away. So hopefully that works out. But we were very, very excited, and it was a tough day because I had to tell the staff at my school, that this was all happening. So it's been kind of an emotional day for me, but we are very, very excited about moving up and working with the school system.
I'm looking at my email. It looks like you told your staff around 2:15 because I have 45 emails from angry parents and staff at your school. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to return to Virginia, my friend. So again, welcome to Ithaca, New York, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
So I'm hanging up now. So again, 3 appointments tonight, and we hope to bring additional recommendations to the board in the community and at the June meetings. We have the Chief Secondary Officer role to fill, the Chief Excellence Officer role to fill. We have our Wellness and Athletics Officer role to fill, and our Coordinator for Health and Physical Education. So some additional, some more leadership positions that we need to fill going forward, and hope that we have people in place by July 1 to keep the work moving forward. Thank you.
Very good, Dr. Brown.
Hey, Rob. Hey, just I didn't want to let this great moment pass. Well, this is huge for us. I mean, of all the things we've done, this is probably one of the biggest, because it's actually the opportunity to have our new leader bring in his own team, and so we're really excited for you having this opportunity to bring your team together and put things in place to move us forward. But I just want to remind you that still has to be a vacation before this team starts, and so make that happen. And,
thanks for saying that on record. My wife is watching online.
Yes.
She's planning it already, some very extravagantly, I'm sure. And I appreciate this. And you mentioned bringing in a team. There's a team in place too right now that is solid, and I'm looking forward to integrating these new pieces to the already great pieces, and we're ready to roll. So thank you for sharing that.
And to Seth's point, you did roll out a reorganization plan for the administration of the district, which was the first step, certainly, and an important step, but the ability to bring in top-notch people for those positions will be key, and that will make the plan work. And it's one thing to have an idea of how to do a reorg, but another thing to bring the people in, and which speaks to a lot of the work that's gone on between certainly you and Bob, Yeoman's work that's gone over the last few months trying to, through the reorganization and doing the really recruitment of top people like Brett into the district. So we appreciate that, and I did not want Bob's efforts to not be recognized.
Bob and I have become very close. Over 200 applications, probably close to 75 actual interviews to narrow it down to these folks here. So we've been busy for the last month and a half, and we're getting some positive feedback about the process. Folks on the committees have appreciated the process. And essentially the folks on the committees, vetting the central office administrators, have appreciated the process. So things are going well, and we're happy with it. Thank you.
Anything else? Dr. Brown, anything else for Soup's report? And I guess on to school district business. Apparently there is school district business that we will get to. We've already dealt with the BJM resolution, and it's really just two items. And the first is the labor management collaboration discussion.
I will invite Ms. Mittman to the table, please.
I am at the table.
It's Arnie. There you go.
Yeah, check out that.
What you don't see is Rob Ainsley keeping the Secret Service away from that picture, but that is what was going on, but that's okay.
Don't finish telling him what I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
He's still smiling.
But you can see Arnie is looking for backup. He's looking for Secret Service guys.
He's looking to get out of it.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so the three of us will just share a brief update with the board about the experience we're going to engage in tomorrow and on Thursday. It's a continuation of the invitation in conference we attended last year in Denver, Colorado. So as our budget process is being recognized nationally, the way in which we're collaborating is being recognized nationally. And I want to be telling a story, but I tell it often to speak to what's happened over the last year and a half. My first presentation to the staff as superintendent, I was obviously a little bit nervous. I was even more so more nervous when the staff walked in a single file line wearing black. And I'm thinking I'm here to inspire and engage people I didn't know around I'm sure everyone is seeing as a pretty aggressive approach to the work. And for that second, I felt my leadership being tested in ways I hadn't been tested since my championship basketball game in high school, when people were looking at me to do something different. And to think about where we are now compared to that first day, I now understand why we've been invited by the Secretary of Education to speak about our work. And we're going to be doing that again, like as I said, tomorrow in Cincinnati and on Thursday in Cincinnati. And tonight we just wish to share with you what we plan to share and some highlights from some of the work that's happening over the year. We have much more work to do and much further to go, but our efforts right now is something that we need to be talking about and sharing and thinking about also. So again, just collaborating to transform the teaching profession is the title of this conference. Last year was collaborating to increase student achievement. This year they changed the title to mean this. It's sponsored by a number of folks. So this trip that the three of us will be going on starting tomorrow is all expenses paid by all these folks and the education department. So these are the folks who are sponsoring, and these are all folks who will be there. Their key leaders will be there to help engage in the conversation. I put something in the Dropbox, the actual presentation we have to share. We're doing a tabletop display, which would include images and some highlights from our work, but there's also a 2-page that we must hand out to other districts who are going to be visiting, wanting to learn from us, and I put that in your Dropbox. And here are the highlights from that 2-pager. We're going to be speaking to our goals, our strategy for reaching those goals, the role of collaboration, how we're going to be measuring, how we've been measuring successes, results or milestones reached, and then the challenges and solutions that we've come up against over the last year. Yeah, please, and put something in there. So that's the framing for this 2-day conference, and Sue has a couple of things she wishes to share as far as highlights from conference last year, things that we're going to be sharing this year, some of the work that's happening in the organization. And Rob may have a few things to add there too, but I just want to take some time just to share with you what's going to be happening for us over the next few days and some of the work that's been going on. So Sue,
well, last year we went and attended a number of different workshops where schools were talking about their efforts and what it is they did to create transitions and have things working. And we heard a lot about collaboration and input and time. We actually embarked on our own progress and looked at what the role of collaboration is, and started by having the association do significant problem-solving workshops. So Bob and I have met for a minimum of an hour to 3 hours every single week, just about, dealing with issues before they become major issues. So if it's a concern, if there's a transition, if it has to do with transfers or discipline or program or professional development, we've looked at the issues that are contractual and also what we can do in a proactive measure so that we can get ahead. I think we've been very successful, but we haven't reached our goal yet. But the conversation has been honest and it's been straightforward, and you know me well enough to know that I tell it like I see it, and I've been doing a lot of listening and learning, and together I think we've made great progress. The measures of success, many that are in this document, talk about 2015. The numbers are estimates by the superintendent, and I think that optimism is definitely one of his long suits, and I think it's good. We should have really strong goals. If we get even close to these goals, we will be successful. We may exceed them, but these are estimates, but this is the direction. And having common goals is what breeds success. If we all are going to the same place, we may take different paths, but we can get there. So this will provide the diversity and the collaboration we need. It's not an easy way to go. We are currently looking at the challenges, and on the very last page is a list of challenges, and we've been able to narrow it down to some really key points. One is time. Time is one of the biggest issues we have in this school district. Time to be with students, time for us to do professional development, time for us to adapt to all the new programs that we're looking at, time to work collaboratively with people in our same field and profession who come from a wide variety of preparation programs, and we look at different things. Time to make school-home communications, and the fact that the sun does set every evening and you run out of time. And time for things like relaxation and wellness and, vacations that are well-earned and whatever. But this is tough when you're a classroom teacher and when you're in the field. And we're trying to teach people, not just tell people what it is we do and how we do it. And this transforming of teaching and learning takes time. And we're in a big hurry, and we want everything yesterday. But if we do it properly, and we do it with time, and we plan, and we grow together, and the changes come from inside the organization as well as outside, I think we can have success. And that's the part that Ithaca has been working on and is doing that is not happening in many other districts. Here we're working for the collaboration of those who are working with the students and in the field, and can tell you that the ideas are great, but sometimes you can't implement them within the time we have. and how we're looking for a plan on how we can see and measure it to grow. And the solutions to many of this is commitment. And the board has strong goals, and the commitments are really important. Looking to schedule time on the calendar for collaboration. Looking to get a teacher to sit at the board, not to vote, but to be part of the conversations. Looking at the participation of the parents who can explain their concern, but also having the decisions made by those who are trained educators, so that it's the solutions and the direction of instruction come from those who are working and are informed by research in the field and by the data that we collect from our practices. The recognition of excellence, which has just begun, but is nowhere near where it should be. A development of respect for educators, respect for people in the field, and an understanding that we're working together to raise and educate our children. It is no one party that does it alone. That's part of the collaboration. And when the parent from BJM identified her child as a challenge, I wanted to smile and hug her, because it's so wonderful to realize all our children are wonderful and gifted in their own way. But some of them are independent thinkers, and we have to work on engaging their minds and making them a success, and seeing it as a joy, not as a punishment. Because you love these kids when they're in your classroom. They become part of your family and everything. But there's a reality. Not everybody is succeeding the way we want. And dealing with it honestly and with support, making sure that we have resources for this, and that resources are not based on your location, whether you're rural or suburban or urban, but rather based on the need of the individual child. That's really important. And this professional development for all faculty and staff, including all the employees, whether it be a bus driver, custodian, a classroom educational support personnel, a teacher, an AIS instructor, everybody needs some support in their training. And that includes those members who serve and give many, many hours on the board. You have an opportunity to see and understand some of the professional development that we deliver, so that you can understand what people are doing in terms of a learning curve. So if we can present all of the opportunities that Ithaca has and show people how we can do this without imposing it and mandating it, but rather inviting people, then we can show people what a true success we are and where we're going.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks. Did you have anything here?
After all that, no, after all those good words, I'm good. I think I'm good.
Yeah. So again, sharing some of the work that's happening, everything from the Summer PDI Institute, which is an opportunity that I think all board members had an opportunity to participate in, along with staff and along with the collaboration of the teachers union, we do together. And the negotiations, which have been different this last round. So things are working. We have much more work to do. But again, we're models in many ways for other folks who are attempting to transform the work and not do it from a top-down approach, but a true, authentic, and engaging model that's very collaborative. That creates value.
But well, I shouldn't say but, as from the board level, it is, we talk about negotiations, but I really can't speak to it very directly because we're in negotiation. It would be nice to get through that process so we can indeed talk openly about the collaboration that we hope to come to agreement on. So,
and you'll see when
go ahead.
Yeah, you'll see when the challenges. I think when you look at the challenges on that report that we're presenting, it speaks to time, job embedded PD, and some other things. All things that I think it's safe to say that we're hoping to accomplish when we sit down and talk about next steps and how we grow and learn together.
See you Friday at the table.
Yeah, I guess you will.
The negotiating table.
The negotiating table.
And my main role apparently is security, I guess, when I go to these things. That's to keep other districts away from Dr. Brown.
We have one of those little earpieces for Rob this year.
Yeah.
And he did a good job last year.
That's what I do.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
Oh, that's what I always do.
So
I'll be there.
Be thinking about us on a small plane tomorrow.
How small? How small? It's one of those. It does wind up apparently. It still has the props on it. Is that where we start at 6:19 tomorrow morning, if I'm not mistaken?
6:19. 5:30 at the terminal.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Straight flight or no? Detroit?
No, we're going to tour the Northeast apparently a little bit before we manage to get to Cincinnati.
We got a little Philadelphia.
That's great.
The gentlemen are showing me the world.
The contributions we make to ICSD on behalf of the children of the community. Anyway, Dr. Brown, is there? Well, can you just enlighten me a little bit? We're going to go there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And tomorrow is the day when it's a large meeting area, and all districts will be represented. And we'll be sitting at a table and also working the room and seeing what other districts do.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, they're calling it a Transformers Dialogue. So
That's
we'll be in a room with
Fed speak for whatever we're going to do tomorrow.
a collaborative conversation. So we'll be sharing one another's work and in hopes to grow. And then Thursday morning, we'll hear from the Secretary of Education. And we'll hear from, I think, the leader of AASA and the Teachers Union. So we'll hear from the key leaders of this work across the country Thursday, giving us their thoughts and vision for the work going forward. And networking in between here and learning, get to know other folks and learning.
And that's when Rob.
Oh, and that's when Rob steps in.
No, I just try to, I make a hole. I just, we part the water. Well, we always enjoy these things. It's great.
Rob loves to fly, so any more stuff.
I like flying. I take a book, I read, and that's what I do. It's the sitting, I think, is the tough part.
The flying is easy.
The flying is easy. It's a sitting in the conference for hours and hours and hours. So it's a chance to walk around at least. But we will not dwell on this anymore. If anything else, Susan, you wish to say?
Was I supposed to sit for questions?
Oh, no, you're sitting there for questions. That's fine. Are we good?
Good luck, travel safely. I move the calendar as presented in the book.
We're moving on.
Oh, second.
Yeah, this, we're not voting whether Dr. Brown and I go to this conference. It's a non-voting item on the agenda. So, and the calendar was moved. Seconded by Brad, I believe.
I've only had one complaint, and it's about the February break, and it was for the flu season.
And I think we all received that same.
Yeah.
Should we study that more and talk about it?
We can all change. I mean, look how many times the calendar got changed this year. So.
See, I have the opposite idea about the colds and flus. They go away for the week and come back with the things they pick up elsewhere.
Interesting
I don't know if it matters,
theory.
but I've probably gotten 2 dozen requests for the calendar, so if that's
So you would like a
relevant.
calendar?
People want it.
Yeah.
Not about which calendar. They just want to know what the calendar is for next
Yeah, they
year.
just want it.
Jay, go ahead.
Got a couple of questions. In March, is the 15th and 29th a holiday that I don't know about? Are they a holiday?
Good Friday's the 29th.
Yeah. It's the 29th, Good Friday. What's 15th?
Ides of March.
Yeah, thanks. Beware. So we grabbed,
It's breaking up, March.
it's, yeah, right. Is that the thinking on that then?
I think that's
We were talking about, you just spoke, can I keep going?
Sure, Jay.
We were just presented with the problem that we all know about, the time for collaboration, professional development, etc. Some school districts do early dismissal, and I don't know if that's that's talked about, and I don't know how important it is, if that's a possibility, that it needs to be locked down into the calendar or not.
Yeah, it would need to be locked down in the calendar. We've had some initial conversations about it for the purpose of providing successful development during those half days. Again, we're negotiating what PD will look like and the time we'll have allocated towards professional development. But personally, our school days are short already, especially at the elementary level. So I'm struggling to bring in a recommendation to you to shorten the day even more so, when I'm also trying to figure out how to extend it. So just to give you what our initial thinking is right now around the half days, but it's something we have to talk more about.
That could be in secondary level though too, that they would be.
Yeah, at both levels.
At both, yeah.
I think today's short.
So,
I think we're negotiating a different solution.
Yeah, I think we're working on different solutions to get that same.
gotcha. Okay.
Other questions? Anyone?
Has it been our practice to have Good Friday off in this district?
It usually gets knocked off by snow.
No, but this time you've got the 15th of March and the 24th of May as your two snow days.
So it's always been scheduled as a safety day, so to speak, right? It's one of the replacement days.
Okay.
It's probably the third.
And the idea of March is just to break it up. That's why those 2 Fridays are there.
Yeah.
Well, the one is Good Friday and the other one.
Go ahead, Ben.
My comment is that I'm always amazed that the entire school public does not follow all of these meetings on TV and in print. But I do think that we will get feedback / blowback from this short February break. But I don't want to micromanage the planning, but I think there will be questions. Why this day in March? Why March 15th? Why the Friday before the 18th rather than extending it throughout the week? So it's just, you know, I did only get that one feedback, but I don't think it's because most people don't care. I think it's because most people don't hang on our every word.
What are you trying to say?
I've heard that too.
You think people are going to be unhappy about it?
Well, they don't, she's saying we're going to hear about it later.
We'll hear about it later
We
in
haven't yet.
September when people notice.
Yeah.
We will hear about it.
So does anybody have an alternative?
Yeah, I thought that's why we took 2 weeks, was to find out if there was an alternative.
So,
Right.
I've got a question about
Here's
an
one
alternative.
proposal.
Why is the February, what if those 2 March days went up to the February and the 15th moved to the 20th? What if we had that week off? Taking the 2 March days and Friday the 15th in February. Probably talked about that, or?
Yeah, we have. Connie, you want to speak to this part? My schedule guru is leaving me right now. The March days, that one day is a holiday, correct? The March day you're speaking of. March.
They're 2 Fridays.
2 Fridays.
2 Fridays.
Clear. So here are these 2 March days.
One's Good Friday.
I think if I may, part of the difficulty beyond the alternative Jake put forward is my understanding from the last meeting that we're going to have something put in the Dropbox with a couple of different alternatives of calendars. When I got the calendar, there's only one version, but I thought we had decided there would be a couple of different options to these, or what you all were working from as possible other alternatives. That was definitely a discussion we had.
That was.
It was. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that because I've been looking for the calendar because I'm trying to figure out the February date. We had a conversation about you all submitting or letting us see what other alternatives you were considering beyond just this calendar. That was a conversation last board meeting. That's why we held off on making any vote to see what the possibilities were.
I thought, based on my recollection, I'm not sure if I'm wrong, but I don't remember anything going to be deposited in Dropbox. I just remember leaving the 2-week window so that if people had proposals for alternative calendars, they could submit them. But I don't remember the board having the opportunity to consider different proposals that were shot down. I don't remember that.
That's the conversation I recall.
And I'm sorry, I can't speak to it because it was really Dr. Myers who was having a direct conversation with the DS, with Ellen O'Donnell, about the calendar that was presented at the last meeting. And so,
Right, to that point, the district is trying to coordinate with BOCES on their calendar.
I don't think that.
Looking to give you an option, I pulled up a Syracuse area school district, and they're keeping their February and their April break, but what they're doing is they're having teacher conference days on the 29th and 30th of August. That's the way they're...
Of August?
Of August.
Pre-Labor Day.
Yeah. And some of it...
Coming before Labor Day week.
Before Labor Day week. So I'm just...
Preloading.
No, I'm just telling you, I mean, there are other ways to do it, but...
And they didn't do, what did they do in March?
The 15th and the 29th. Same 2 days.
They
Same
have
2 days.
They have the 2 days before the start of the school year.
No, I got it. I don't know what the deal is with March.
So they didn't
One is
take,
Good Friday.
So they didn't take the 15th of February, the Friday.
Right.
They added that to the week, and then they added the other two. It's JD. It's JD I'm looking at, because they always get theirs.
So we've had a calendar committee. We've had some folks look at this a lot. All the things that I'm hearing right now have been options on the table. We can put together multiple calendars and put them back in front of you now. This was our best shot at it, and it was also similar to the BOCES calendar, which provides some benefits. And we thought, I was thinking last week would be an opportunity for people to weigh in whether or not they have another option or not. We heard the one, but we can do this in another way.
But we're not even following the BOCES calendar. So we can make that calendar if we want. This isn't the BOCES calendar.
It's close. It's not the exact calendar.
But they still have the week of February off, which is the thing that we're still being hung up on, right? So I understand what you're saying. I get that. And so I'm not trying to hold the process either.
No,
BOCES doesn't.
No, they don't have their week off.
That's where this began. This began because BOCES did not take the full week, and there was conversation about how many students do we have that would be affected and not attending classes, although they can attend. We don't provide the transportation, I believe. So the question is, how can you still keep as much of the February week as possible and not adversely affect a large number of students or reduce the effect? My membership prefers to have the whole week of February off. They really do.
What about coming in early?
But that's absolutely not, because many of our members teach summer school. They literally have 1 week off, and that's that week before.
So I heard two options, Sue. I heard coming in early.
That's not an option with our association.
And then I'm hearing a short break you don't like either. Is there a third?
Well, you've got it. We compromised. I mean, this wasn't our choice. I'm trying to tell you that that's what we did. You could take a look at Friday the 15th and make it Wednesday the 20th, and then they'd take the 2 days in March and make the week in February and have no break in March. That makes for a very, very long month. I'm not personally going to be affected because I won't be here, so I can speak honestly. You know, it's nice to have the break in February. At this point, this is a compromise, but we believe it can work. You definitely need something in February. It does break the illness cycle. I've been here when we haven't had it. And this is a compromise. One could look at the 15th and stick it on that week in February, so you'd have more continuous instruction, especially prior to the state testing. And the district, or I've been told that keeping the school open just for 2 days after 4 or 5 days of closure, it costs a lot for heat, to bring the heat back up and stuff, so that in fact there's a preference to have a 3-day, to have 3 continuous days. I said, well, why not a Monday and a Friday? But I guess it just works better if you have the days contiguous up to the weekend.
So I'm hoping the board
This is a compromise calendar.
It's not the top choice for any of us.
Yeah.
This is a compromise after many, many of these kind of conversations. So we can continue to have these conversations and put several other options in front of you. But this is our best thinking, as we said 2 weeks ago. As you can probably tell, I'm not a big fan of calendar. Right now, no one's ever going to be happy with them. And I know this is going to be a
There
big
is
one.
one line missing, which is not necessary, and that's the statement that says if there is a 3rd snow day, which is rare, but if there's a 3rd snow day, the contract is reduced. The calendar by contract is reduced by 1 day, and we have sufficient days in there that's possible. I don't think we've ever done it. Maybe once when we had those big storms, but otherwise it's very rare. But that's usually included on the calendar. It's not stated here, but that's what would happen.
Jen?
I got a question for Susan. You're saying that you compromised with this calendar because your membership's preference was the full week off and losing those 2 days in March?
The preference was to keep a full week in February, not necessarily with that Friday, just having 5 consecutive days in February. So it would be February 18th through the 22nd. And the compromise with BOCES and when we spoke to the superintendent and the committee was, this is a compromise calendar in order to make it work and to have more direct instruction. We heard that that was the desire of the board and others, to have more contact days prior to the assessments. So you'll have your break in February, you keep a couple breaks in March, March is a very long month for some reason, so that would break it off. And then you have your April. We did move the April break forward so that it would space out the interruptions in instruction. The high school students, when they were here last time, commented on their need for breaks because of the stress. I can't speak for them, I just want to have their voice in the room so we remember what they said. Would we prefer a week off in February? I'm not speaking personally, but I think in representing the membership, they would prefer a week in February.
So then why not a calendar compromise that had the week in February but didn't have any days off in March?
No, Adam, do you remember what the conversation was?
I remember most of the conversation between us was regarding the whole BOCES calendar, because I remember looking at other districts within our BOCES too as well, not just BOCES. So I know that most of the conversation was around that, which merged with what we thought was best for Ithaca and
BOCES calendar.
Oh, because BOCES, you know what it was, Sean? I believe it was that BOCES didn't have school on those 2 days. So the kids involved in the program would lose those 2 days of instruction plus the 3 days in the February week. I think that's what it was. I can go back and check. I know there was a reason why we compromised and said this is better for the kids. Foolish us.
And it still hasn't. And my other concern again is this week that we have of Ithaca Loves Teachers and the impact that's going to have.
Yeah.
We're in school while we're trying to encourage other folks to come here and take their time off. Has there been conversations with the folks who are organizing that to at least to be able to have some sort of dialogue what that means?
What they said to me is that they've seen this coming for many, many years.
Yes.
And there'll be few districts who have the week off versus the majority of them have the week off now.
Right.
And so they're looking at doing some long weekends and some other things to account for it.
We're holding it anyway. And we will still sponsor our event, hopefully, on the weekend, which means those who are in my association will be working that weekend.
So, where are we?
That was exactly what we've done the last 2 months. That was it.
We keep voting on calendars and redoing them.
Well, we haven't voted on any of them yet. It's not, I mean, we're not going to change the dynamic. The issues are still the issues.
Well, we have voted on calendars in the past.
I'm sorry, not in this one.
Oh, no, not on this one. I meant all the other ones that we voted on. So are we... It was moved, correct? It was moved? Moved and seconded. Are there any other questions at this time? All in favor of the calendar as presented today? Raise your hands. That's Judy, Rob, Pat, Brad, Chris, and Seth. Those opposed is Jay and Sean. And Eldred abstains. All right.
Do you have an alternative? What's your alternative?
I don't see why we couldn't have the February break off with pushing the February 15th to the 22nd and getting rid of the 2 days off in March. It's 5 weeks of school without a break.
Did we get 5 on that?
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did.
I was just asking.
No, it was, this is after,
No, I didn't know whether...
this was an after action questions.
That's my suggestion.
That's 5 weeks. People didn't like 5 weeks.
It's a long run, but it'll snow somewhere in there.
It's not working out the spring break.
Yeah, right.
I just find it ironic we're saying it's a long run while we're trying to talk about increasing instructional days before tests, right? So those things don't, I having taught before and having still be a teacher now who goes long breaks without break or long time without breaks, I understand that. I get it, but it's not the end all be all. It's part of the job, and particularly at that point in time. I think part of the problem is that it's March and it's gray.
That's it.
I think that's probably March of the issue. If we get a Sunday, we actually could do something different, right? Forget snow days.
You know, I am willing, I know you've taken a vote, I am willing to put this out to my membership and see what they say. But
We're going to have the same debate we've been doing.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be just a split.
I'm just trying to give you options so you feel
You know what I mean.
incorporated. Yeah.
It's that collaboration, Susan, that's what.
That's great, too. That was good.
Okay, any other business we are done with the calendar, right?
I've been done.
I do have a feeling we will be looking at it again. Any other business by the board?
Yeah, I have two brief remarks. One, I think, should have come earlier. I was thrown off by the many comments from the audience and the lack of students, but I just, as board liaison for Boynton Middle School, I'm used to hearing about all the great things that happen at IHS and LACS. I just wanted to remind the board that this past weekend, the Boynton Band, Chorus, and Orchestra went down for their annual trip to Hershey Park. Chorus, first place, Class A, perfect score of 100 for both judges. Men's section winner of a Judge's Choice Award, winner of the overall award for outstanding vocal ensemble at the event. Orchestra, first place, Class A, combined score of 96.7, Jonathan Fenwick, winner of a Judge's Choice Award, winner of the overall award for outstanding instrumental ensemble at the event. Band, first place, Class A, combined score of 96.2, runner-up in the overall award for outstanding instrumental ensemble. So I would like to just voice my appreciation for the wonderful teachers, students, parents that we have at Boynton who take home all these medals every year. My second piece of business, I'd like to wish my husband happy anniversary. 19 wonderful years. Don't ask me how many years we've been married. The answer is it's the same. All 19 years have been wonderful, but this has been a memorable anniversry. Thank you all.
You'll have another one next year.
Okay, I can barely hear, that's why I abstained, but I did hear that. I just want to go on record publicly thanking Mr. Allen for the work he does at Boynton. For those of you who talk about engagement, we've been celebrating Code Red Robotics. If you actually sat in his band session, you would really understand the level to which he has those kids engaged. No child gets cut any slack, whether they're 90 pounds wet or whether they're football players. He cracks the whip and they all respond amazingly. It is one of the best teaching experiences I've seen, in the district. So kudos to him, and it's represented in those results.
Thank you, Alder. Check.
We had a speaker mention the meeting we're going to have with the Charter School Institute or whatever it is. So that's just
The hearing, right?
the hearing. Well, I'm not sure we're going to meet again before then, and I don't know if the board has any interest. There's been different pieces. I'd like to have some information to be more knowledgeable as a board member in going to that hearing, and I don't know if we could, as a board, direct Kira to produce a packet of information that we could use, maybe the public. I know that the scores came out for the new route school, and I'm not sure how easily digestible that report was. I can't remember. But
What would be the best way for everyone to let me know what they want to see?
I would like. I'm interested in the. So I can tell you something. That's a good question, but we're talking about that they, in particular, numbers. They want to go and change their charter from 225 is to 200. I don't even know how many kids are there.
Current enrollment?
Exactly.
Right, student services.
Which is maybe a moving, even in our district, it's a moving target. So I don't know if you get an average or if you get a whatever.
A lot of this will come out of student services. John.
I would just say to create a Dropbox folder and put anything you think is relevant. Let me rephrase that. Let me say my preference. I like fishing through data, so whatever you put there, I'm gonna take a look at and see what's there. And so I can't tell you what I want because I don't know what we have. Does that make sense?
Would it be smart to ask Pat Ehrlich if
Sure. Whatever she has, put that in there.
It'd be smart to ask Pat Ehrlich, and it'd be smart, and I would dare say it'd be smart to ask Tina Nielsen-Hines.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Right. Whatever information or data or whatever they want the board to have in preparation for that meeting.
that makes sense?
By all,
Yep.
And did the
There's already a folder in Dropbox. The only thing I put in as far as the letter saying that
from the CSR.
Tina can provide you with stuff, and it's Eric.
not Ehrlich, there's no L.
Eric?
Eric, Pat Eric. There is an Ehrlich in this town, that's why I want you to keep it separate. Sorry, Pat Eric. I think test score data, passing rates are very important. Certified teachers, non-certified teachers, teachers in subject areas, those are all of great interest and part of the necessary standards set by the state that may or may not be met, and I think we just have to be open about it. So I'm going to get you guys.
Attendance and discipline rates for me as well.
Say it again.
Attendance rates and discipline rates in school and out of school.
I don't think even with the FOIL request, Patty, without that.
It doesn't mean we can't put the request out. And I dare say, at some point in time, transparency means you have to have them out there.
I'd like it to be that the board, I think the Board of Ed asks Tina if that's...
Sure. Right, we are the...
That's why I wanted to bring it up here.
We'll put
We are the home
together
district.
outlining all the things we've heard tonight, and then the things we'll think about.
One other thing though, could we get what our responsibility is and what our role is? And I believe, unfortunately, our role is merely to conduct the hearing for CSI. We have no choice.
Oh, that role, yes.
Yeah, there's no decision-making power.
We're not a decision-making body in this case.
But there will be representatives here that we could...
No, we don't know that. Unlikely they'll be here. They weren't here the last time.
CSI? Oh, no. Yeah.
Last time they weren't here.
Well, I went to one.
So who comes?
You went to a different one. You didn't go to the public hearing we conducted as required by law.
Right.
Nobody showed up from there.
We're recording, we're documenting.
Yeah.
Could we
Can we
request
make sure the press release went to every superintendent of a school that has a child there so that they have the opportunity to come as well?
Right.
No, I don't believe it. What will be the deadline for all of this so that you'll have time to consider it before the June 6th?
Tomorrow.
I would just drop stuff as you get it.
Yeah, just as you get things put in.
Most of us get little notes and it says,
Right.
problem
If
added,
there's
you
something that I
drop
drop really late, I'll just warn you.
To the extent that we're going to have, that we're going to take some meaningful data away from this conversation, it would be important to at least make the request from Tina and their board that they give us the data we're asking for the ICSD kids who have been in that school, and maybe we can see what that has looked like year 1, year 2, year 3. I'm particularly interested in the number of special education children with IEPs and other concerns that went there from our district in that initial year, especially after Joe made the comment that ACS caps, the number of special ed kids. So to really, as a person who actually did data professionally for a very long time, if we just get a blob of data about all these other kids from outlying districts, I'm going to zone out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm already zoned out because my understanding is we can do nothing to affect this. So what's the point of having our board clerk spend time on something we have no ability to do anything about, and when we have 1,500 other things that we could actually affect within our district. So, I mean, if we could kind of enter that with this understanding and maybe send a letter out with the request, but as far as I know, we hold this meeting and they do what they want to do.
Speak.
Go ahead, Brett.
I'm going to disagree. You have the ability to write to the Charter School Institute individually or collectively if we chose to. You'd like to be intelligent about it if you're going to write to them about it. And we have a responsibility to the taxpayers over the amount of money that's going there, and whether we think we can affect it or not, we're still responsible to the taxpayers to provide whatever minimal oversight we can.
That makes sense. Let's talk about that. It sounds like we were getting something together for this meeting, but that type of stuff makes sense. But I don't want to get all this worked up about thinking this meeting was it. If we're going to provide information and challenge this, then we can talk about that. But
Right, exactly. That's an important piece. Just to make the point, this is a hearing. New Roots is going to present for half an hour. Right. Then we're going to listen here to the hearing. We're going to hear from the community for another 45 minutes.
As long as it takes.
And frankly, we will go as long as it takes because that's what we do. So I don't know that we are going to get in a deep discussion of how New Roots operates with Tina Nielsen-Hodges at this hearing, right?
Well, we can discuss any board meeting.
Right, I mean, well, I'm asking as well, are we going to go back and forth? The initial hearing we had got a little heated because they didn't like the questions we were asking. So,
Who runs the hearing?
Well, I think we do, actually, but...
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Well,
So again, what's the...
I don't want to be subject to good stories. They've had the opportunity to present. It's been good to hear from individual success stories from my young people to a certain extent. That excited me, but for the purposes of asking for this change, I want the data about our kids.
And that's what I would like, we'll go to Jay in a second, that's what I do want to know from Charter School Institute, or what is the framework of this hearing? Is it an opportunity to ask the questions, why are we going from 25 to 200? And then that leads to a whole list of other questions we can ask, or are we really just supposed to sit there and say, well, we'll find that out.
I think there's a deadline by which people have to comment about the proposed revision, including board members, I would assume.
Sure.
And if the revision is declined, then I think Pat and others would be open to challenging the existence of the charter school based on breaking the rules of the charter.
Exactly.
So.
Jay, go ahead.
I saw this, that you raised a good point. I saw this as an opportunity for us to use the leverage of this meeting to get some information out and get it compiled, get it summarized.
So that people would then communicate to the charter.
Well, not now and in the future, because I think that our chances of having any impact on this are slim to none. But there is their charter renewal in another 2 years.
2 years.
So anyway, this is a benchmark opportunity to get some information and stuff. So I was under the impression, I thought it was like the other one, that someone would be here for what that's worth, but apparently not. But
Right.
we could ask.
We could ask.
Right, this is an opportunity, otherwise it would have been 2 more years before the community would have an opportunity to provide input. New Roots is requesting this, and by law, we hold a hearing within 30 days of receiving the letter. And so we received the letter on the 15th, we were having it on June 6th. We could have it on a different June day, but the 6th on the Wednesday will be the day at 6 o'clock. Not in this room. It will be, I believe, we're in the Black Box Theater. We anticipate being able to have a few more people. Just tonight on A+, we were pretty full, so we will have in the Black Box Theater and use that space. And if we have a whole lot of people, we can move over to Culp Auditorium.
They said they have room for 100 at Black Box. Do you think they're going to have an issue?
100? That's what they should do.
Let's try 100 first, and we'll go from there. Thanks, Jay. Thanks for bringing that up. That provides us with some guidance. And Kira will gather what information she can, and we will go from there. But we will not worry that we missed something this time. We will keep working at it. Right, Kira? Right. So whatever you can get from student services and New Roots, etc. And that would be great. And Tim Moon will certainly have data that he has accumulated as well. So he's our data guy. So don't generate information that's already here.
One last thing.
Sure.
Policy meeting on the 24th is at 1 p.m. instead of 5 p.m.
No, not the 24th, the June one.
The June
Wednesday.
The June 7th.
So Thursday, you got a
Policy meeting on the 24th, Thursday, still at 5 p.m.
Yes.
And it's still an opportunity for board members to inform themselves about DASA, including the updated student codes of conduct, and that was plural on purpose.
There's an elementary and a secondary.
They're all in your Dropbox folder. You can take a look at it if you have any recommendations. It's going to be reviewed on Thursday's meeting, and then it'll go to a full board vote for the following 2 meetings in June. So there'll be plenty of policy to wet your
So
whistle.
this Thursday.
This Thursday is at 5 then, and June 7th is at
Unfortunately, I'm out of town apparently. So
Well, enjoy the flight.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Any? No, that's good. Anything else? Are we done?
Move adjournment.
Without, second, without objection.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done because we're going places. Thank you all.
So I'll fight people.